Have you ever noticed how a simple phrase can carry a deeper meaning when we really think about it? Lately, I've been hearing a greeting more and more often in passing and especially among young people. The greeting is simple. What's good? Now, at first, it sounds like just another way of saying hi. How are things going? What's going on? What's happening? But the more I hear it, the more I find myself reflecting on it. Because if you really think about it, what's good is an excellent question, not just as a greeting, but as a way of looking at life. And today I want to share why this simple phrase has become a powerful reminder for me, and how asking yourself this one question can help you experience more peace, more balance, and perhaps even more hope when life feels difficult. We naturally focus on what's wrong. Most of us have brains that are wired to notice problems. Thousands of years ago, that was useful. Our ancestors needed to pay attention to threats, a strange sound in the bushes, a storm approaching, a potential danger nearby. The people who noticed what was wrong were often the people who survived. The problem is that our brains still operate this way today. Even though most of us are no longer worried about wild animals chasing us, our minds are constantly scanning for problems. A coworker's comment, a delayed text message, a disappointing result, an unexpected bill, a mistake we made, a conflict in a relationship. And before we know it, our attention becomes completely consumed by what's wrong, what isn't working, what we don't have, what could go badly, what we fear. It's almost automatic. But what if there was another question we could ask? A question that doesn't deny the challenge, a question that doesn't ignore reality, a question that simply expands our perspective. What if we asked, what's good? One of the things I've come to believe is that life is rarely just one thing. Most situations contain more than one perspective. If you believe in good and bad, you'd probably agree that life rarely is all good, but it's also rarely all bad. There's often a duality present. A job loss can be painful, and it can also become the doorway to a better opportunity. A difficult conversation can be uncomfortable, and it can strengthen a relationship. A mistake can be embarrassing, and it can become a valuable lesson. A setback can slow us down, and it can direct us toward something better. The challenge is that when we're hurting, we often lose sight of the other side of the picture. We zoom in on the problem. We focus on the pain. We become convinced that the difficulty is the entire story. But what if it isn't? What if there is more happening than we can currently see? What if there is another perspective available? That is where the question, what's good, becomes so powerful. Now, I want to be very clear about something. When I say ask yourself what's good, I'm not suggesting that we pretend everything is going like we'd hoped or imagined. I'm not suggesting we ignore our feelings. I'm not suggesting we suppress grief, anger, disappointment, or frustration. Real peace isn't created by pretending. Real peace comes from seeing clearly. If you've lost someone you love, that hurts. If you've experienced rejection, that hurts. If you're facing uncertainty, that can be frightening. The question, what's good, is not about denying those experiences. It's about expanding the frame. It's about refusing to let the challenge become the entire story. It's about remembering that there may be more here than meets the eye. Think about a time when something didn't go according to plan. Maybe you were passed up over for a promotion. Maybe a friendship changed. Maybe you worked hard on something and it didn't produce the result you wanted. In those moments, our minds naturally focus on the loss. But what happens when we ask, what's good here? Maybe the answer isn't immediately obvious. Maybe it takes time. But often something begins to emerge. Perhaps the experience revealed a strength that you didn't know you had. Perhaps it taught you a skill. Perhaps it clarified what truly matters to you. Perhaps it showed you where you need better boundaries. Perhaps it pushed you towards growth. Perhaps it opened a door you would never have considered otherwise. The moment we ask, what's good, we shift from helplessness into curiosity. And curiosity is powerful because curiosity creates space, and space creates peace. Sometimes the good in a situation isn't obvious until much, much later. Have you ever looked back on a difficult experience and realized it ended up helping you? I know I have. There have been experiences that I desperately wanted to avoid, experiences I judged as bad, experiences I wished hadn't happened. Yet years later, I could see how those very experiences shaped me. They taught me compassion. They taught me resilience. They taught me patience. They taught me wisdom. At the time, I couldn't see any of that. All I could see was the problem. That's why I believe asking what's good isn't always about finding an immediate answer. Sometimes it's simply about staying open to the possibility that there is more here than we currently understand. The next time something frustrating happens, I want to invite you to try something. Pause. Close your mouth. Take a slow, gentle breath through your nose. Then ask yourself 3 questions. First, what feels difficult about this situation? Be honest. Name it. Acknowledge it. Don't minimize it. Second, what story am I telling myself about this situation? Often our suffering isn't just about what happened. It's about the meaning we've attached to what happened. Maybe we're telling ourselves, oh, this always happens to me. I'm not good enough. Nothing ever works out. They don't appreciate me. These stories create suffering. Third, ask yourself, what's good? What's good that I can see right now? What might be good that I can't see right now? What strengths am I developing? What opportunities could emerge? What am I learning? What support do I still have? What blessings remain present? This simple practice can create a profound shift. One of the reasons we suffer is because we become trapped in a narrow perspective. We focus on one piece of the puzzle and assume it represents the whole picture. But peace often arrives when we zoom out, when we remember that today's challenge is only one chapter, not the entire story. When we remember that there are dimensions of a situation we cannot see yet. When we remember that growth and difficulty often travel together. When we remember that life contains both shadows and light. Asking what's good helps us widen our lens. It reminds us that there may be resources, opportunities, lessons, strengths, and blessings that we're overlooking. And when we begin noticing those things, something remarkable happens. We start feeling less trapped, less overwhelmed, less powerless. So the next time someone greets you with the words, "What's good?" you might smile and answer, but maybe you'll also remember something deeper. Maybe you'll remember that life itself is constantly asking us that same question. Not because everything is perfect, not because challenges don't exist, but because there is often more present than we realize, more possibilities, more lessons, more support, more beauty, more growth, more good. And when life feels heavy, when things aren't going according to plan, and when your mind wants to focus entirely on what's wrong, try asking yourself, what's good? You might be surprised by what you discover, because peace doesn't always come from changing our circumstances. Sometimes peace comes from changing the question. And one of the most powerful questions we can ask is simply, what's good? If this message resonated with you, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What is one situation in your life where asking what's good helped you see things differently? And if you found value in this video, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might want to reflect on the question, what's good? Until next time, peace.